Yo, hey, what's up, y'all? This is DJ Spooky from New York City. You're checking in with Mogo in China, and I'm DJing an event here in Beijing, Wild Style Haitian with Modern Skies Records. So here we go.
The entire globe.
Tonight is going to be a collision between New York versus Beijing, and I'm going to be mixing some MCs from China, some MCs from New York, and in what they call breakbeat style. So it'll be a big party. In mainland China, yeah. But I've DJ'd in Singapore, I've been to Hong Kong, and I've worked with different Chinese artists. But yeah, first time in Beijing. I love it. I was going around all this afternoon. Great food, amazing food. And I just feel like Chinese are very warm-spirited people. Yeah. When I'm DJing, I want people to feel like a paradox. And I want them to feel like there is no certainty and that the ground underneath their feet is changing and the world is changing. So you hear this like contradiction and paradox in sound. And there, you know, when I sample and I mix, I take from really different styles and I mix them together because that's where I feel. I don't feel like anything is constant and unchanging. You know, I like to make music that you hold a mirror up to the world and you realize everything is turbulence. Yeah, I'd say the album is about connecting dots between different cultures. 20th century was the century of America, you know, and the imagination of the world with Hollywood, with World War II, with you know, the dollar, you know, everything's about America. And it's really important to me to get people to think about, my nickname for it is post-America. What this means is we have a changing imagination of the world. You have the rise of other cultures that they have their own cinema, they have their own way of looking, like Hollywood versus Bollywood in India. Indian film is bigger, but in America they don't know that. Or same thing with, like, there's many more Chinese in America, you know, than in all of the United States. There's only 300 million. China is 1 billion. So we in the U.S. always tend to think of our world as like everything rotates around America, but the world is changing. And I wanted to make an album that responds to that. Well, I'm really interested in how the world's changing perception of China has kind of been connected with economics, and everyone looks at China as this huge factory, you know, and production. But it's changing the way that most people think about creativity, because what ends up happening is the amount of material being made in China and then being shipped everywhere has changed the global economy. It's completely transformed the way people think of it. Like, everything I'm wearing is made in China. My computer is made in China, everything. And one day I was looking through all of my records and CDs, everything in the small print is made in China, and you realize this is the world's production cycle. So in the US, we're moving into a more and more post-industrial economy, so I wanted to get a Chinese perspective, and so I got in touch with Jing Zhu. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but we then did a collaboration about economics meets music, because in the US everything is getting more and more into this idea of abstract software and freeware, and nobody's really making physical objects anymore. And so they'll make an idea and then ship it to China, and then they'll make like physical and then bring it back to the US. Anyway, I thought it was a fun idea. Well, that was in the 90s. It's a different time now. It was just a name, like a nickname for a style. Everyone is like the iPod, you know, the way you have all the different categories, like hip-hop, rock, classical. I hate the way that everybody listens to music based on what little category in the iPod. So it was meant to be a sense of humor about no category, because nobody knew how to define it. So you can just say, it's Obian. And that means that it's an open system. And what ends up happening is that you have music that people have to listen to as music, not as one style in the iPod or... Basically, everything is software. So what I can do is always try and translate between media and understand that there's an idea around music. Because right now, everybody can make music. My mother is DJing. Everyone's DJing. With the software being so powerful now, whether you're using Pro Tools or Logic Audio, anyone can make a beat or production, no problem. But what differentiates that is the idea and the song and the way that someone can sing or create something unique. And that's what's hard to do, is make something unique and different. And I want to make sure that I think music should be about reaching across different cultures and exchanging and getting more people to think about 21st century as a time when you're going to be seeing a lot of nation states and with festivals all over the world, bringing musicians from all over. That's every mix CD I do is like a festival, where it's many styles and lots of different ways of making music. I love it. I'm so happy I was born in near 21st century. I don't think I could live in another time. I mean, I'm very inspired by philosophy, and several of my main philosophers are. I think that humanism is something that's so important that we realize that we've been conditioned by centuries of colonialism, and the way colonialism worked was to separate people by skin color, by race, in a way that made everyone think, oh, I'm just from this style or this skin color or white, black, whatever, and we're all human. And 21st century, you're going to be seeing, my nickname for it is pan-humanism, where everyone can finally relate to people, instead of this is the Chinese person and this is an American person and this is a European or this is African. All these old categories are like a bad iPod. So I love the idea of 21st century renaissance of culture and art and literature is about saying it's about globalization as a good thing, and that human beings exchanging information like we've never done before, because everyone was so in their little country, in their little place, and they're staying in one place and they're not moving. I love the fact that we now have this globalized festivals. It's really important, which is why I think this Modern Skies Festival is really a beautiful thing, because I've got a chance to hear more Chinese electronic music today. Even after doing research and trying to, in New York, it's very hard to find, because a lot of it's in Chinese and you have to translate. And so I ask around. So the music I've heard from China is mainly from friends recommending. And basic vibe is it has to be unique and new and fresh. Because if you're going to try and sound like everybody else, no one's going to care, because you already sound like what everybody's doing. So make a unique statement. Thanks for checking it. DJSpooky.com meets mogo.cn. Peace.